accidentally commenced today. Without wasting too much of our time, I think it's important for us to set the ground rules. Um, like I said, welcome each and every one of us, and it's glad to have all of us to be part of this webinar. And so the few things that I will need to quickly share with us so that we know, which is there's a need for us to understand that all the participants will be muted. Also, only videos of the moderator and the speakers will be enabled. We also would like to advise that everyone uses the chat room to share their thoughts. You can also use it to ask questions and engage with other participants. Also, where necessary, a participant may be asked to unmute himself or herself to ask the question directly. And it's important to also let us know that we're in this together. It's important for us to know that we can share together and also learn together as well as grow together. So I think this is just the house rule which we employ and encourage each and every one of us to please adhere to. All participants will be muted. All videos of only the videos of the moderator and the speakers will be enabled. You can use the chat room to share your thoughts, to ask questions and engage with other participants. And also where necessary, a participant may be asked to unmute so that you can ask the question directly. And lastly, it's important to put on record that we're all in this together. So let's share, learn, and grow together. Thank you very much. So at this juncture, it will be important for me to ask our amiable chairman, the chairman of the branch, to give his opening remarks. Our chairman, ESV Dr. Bangola, will be giving his opening remarks at this particular point in time. Please, can we have our chairman to do that right away?
Okay, sorry. I did not unmute myself, so apologies. So, good afternoon, noble colleagues, students, professionals, and other members of the branch who are joining us for this particular webinar. We indeed appreciate, yes, I can see so many beautiful and handsome faces coming up among the panelists. So I can see that Sanjo Fawale is studying a lot. I can see the number of books behind him.
Thank you.
When I grow up, I want to read like that.
No, sir.
So good afternoon, everyone. We want to appreciate our speakers at this occasion. ESV, Eweneze, ESV, Uluyemo, ESV, Kamaruddin Lawal. We want to appreciate your taking time out to put things together so that we can share with the students and try to guide them in the path, students and graduates and professionals, to guide them in the path that will associate membership and become also professional members of the institution. I want to believe we are going to be learning a lot today. I'm always open to learning more, and that's the reason why we always push this frontier of capacity development. A lot of things will be brought up that will not be strange to some of us, but even for those things as they are coming up, I believe that some of us who might have even gone past this level will be able to take advantage of information made available here. So I want to encourage everybody, every participant to be listeners and pick in as many information as they will need. I want to thank the moderator too, the moderator for taking time out to do this. I believe at the end of the day, we will all be glad this was done. And it's good, it's part of our ethics week, so it's a celebration. Even if we can't gather physically, we are already doing this online, virtual. I believe we're in for a short time. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I mean, that's been aptly captured by our amiable chairman, and thank you for this avenue for all of us to learn. I mean, like you rightly said, I mean, if the whole chairman is open to learning, I mean, every one of us should, as a matter of necessity, also be open to learning. And so, without further ado, I would like to quickly introduce. Our chairman did mention the names of the panelists today. We have three of them, wonderful people. I'm going to be reading their profile, but this is the manner in which it's going to go because we have three sections that I'll be going into. And so I'm going to read the profile of the first person who will be speaking this afternoon. And I'll read his profile, then ask him to share his thoughts because he will be speaking to us about the path to associateship. He'll be talking about the route.
I think the moderator went off temporarily. Is ESV Kamaruddin online? Is the one that is about to take that responsibility now. ESV Kamaruddin. Okay, maybe please, participants, let's just allow a minute or so. I'm sure the moderator will come back online with ESV Kamaruddin too. I've seen Kamaruddin's, okay, not his comment. He's not yet here, but can't see him here. Can't see Kamaruddin here, but okay, the moderator is back.
Hello.
Yes, welcome back, Mr. Moderator.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was a network problem. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so let's quickly get into this. Like I said, I'm going to be calling the first panelists. We have three of them who will be doing justice to, the program today, like the chairman had rightly captured. And so the three of them, one of them will be speaking, and the first person particularly, ESV Kamaruddin, will be speaking on the subject routes to NIESV membership and ESVABON registration. And so because of our time, just permit me at this particular point in time, for the sake of the connection that went off the other time. So I will employ that. We just go straight into this. So I would like to have ESV Kamaruddin, who is the secretary of the Education, Professional Progression and Mentoring Subcommittee of the branch. So please permit me to just welcome Mr. Kamaruddin immediately. Okay, so quickly, Mr. Kamaruddin holds a bachelor degree in estate management from Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife, Osun. He is a registered member of the Certified Institute of Auctioneers of Nigeria. He is a corporate member of the Nigerian Partnership and Olalekan Abodere Consulting. He's currently a principal consultant of KB Lawa Consulting, in terms of estate surveyors and valuers, and he has over 8 years experience both in practicing and as well lecturing. He's currently the secretary of the NIESV Lagos State Branch Education, Professional Progression and Mentoring Subcommittee. So please, can we have ESV Kamaruddin to take us through what we should know with regards to NIESV membership and ESVABON registration. ESV Kamaruddin, please, can we have you?
I'm not so sure, Mr. Moderator, I'm not so sure I can see Mr. Kamaruddin here.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's not listed among the panelists, so I thought you've contacted him. That's why you were talking to him.
Oh, no, I mean, I guess that's
Is
probably the
here,
release of something.
is here as a participant. Can the secretary please ensure he comes in as a panelist so that I can see his face and he can share the screen? Secretariat, please. I'm sure the panelist link was sent to him. I believe that would have been done.
Is the secretariat able to do that right now?
In the background, they are trying to change him to panelist link.
Okay.
I think it's been changed. Oh, can't see him yet. I think it's been changed. So I think it's been changed, but maybe it's coming in afresh. It's re-entering now as a panelist. I mean, it should. Well, you know, sometimes this thing requires you to have a good knowledge of it so that you know where to go to. So maybe you should use that time to read the profile of Mr. Oluyemo, SS Obanbala Olusegun Oluyemo, so that by the time he comes on board, he can key in. Please go ahead, moderator.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, the second person that we have here, Mr. Segun Oluyemo, ESV Olusegun Oluyemo, and the profile I have in here is he has his academic qualification. He has HND and MBA strategic planning, and incidentally, Mr. ESV Olusegun Oluyemo happened to be one of the pioneering students of estate management at Yaba College of Technology. And in 1982 to 1984, he graduated as a best student and also proceeded to the Polytechnic Ibadan in 1985 to 1987, in which he also graduated as a best student. Between 1999 and 2001, ESV Oluyemo Olusegun had his master's in business administration. And also, it's important to also put on record his working experience so that we know the extent of the opportunity we have to have somebody of his stature to share some of his thoughts with us this afternoon. He had the privilege to work as a pupil surveyor at Muriadi and Associates. Also, he worked as the property manager at Oluwaseun Property Investment Company Limited. He also served as the mortgage and estate manager of the then owners and now Home Savings and Loans Limited. He used to be a principal partner at the Nigerian Insurance Corporation. He also worked at the Insurance Properties Limited, where he served as the deputy general manager and the chief operating officer. And from 2006 till date, ESV Oluyemo Olusegun established the firm of Segun Oluyemo and Associates, where he's the principal partner and served as the principal partner up to date. That's the profile of ESV Oluyemo Olusegun. I don't know if we'll have ESV Kamaruddin ready.
Can read the third panelist, the third speaker's profile as well. He's still trying to process his joining.
Okay, that's fine. And so the third profile, I mean, is that of somebody I personally, for those of us who know her very well, we used to refer to her as VJE. I mean, VJE. And I'm sure that will resonate with a lot of people who had the privilege to work under her. Here's Mrs. Vivian Oeweneze, the graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, where she studied estate management with BSc. She worked extensively with many estate firms of note in the industry before she joined the team of Dia Patimilenya and Co. in the year 1994, where she worked at all levels and rose to become a partner in the year 1997. And that's why I said earlier on that for those of us who had the privilege of working with her, we refer to her as VJ. She worked till the year 2005, holding various positions, majorly managerial, and finally, partner in charge of property management nationwide, and became the last standing partner in the partnership. She thereafter went ahead to set up the firm of V.O. Eweneze and Company. Her academic qualifications include BSc Estate Management in 1992 from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and Masters in Project Management, MPM, in 2011 from the University of Lagos. Professionally, she's an associate member of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, and also a registered member of the Estate Surveyors and Valuers Registration Board, Nigeria. She's actively involved in this institution, serving currently as an executive member of the Plant and Equipment Valuation, Business Division, and the Arbitration and ADR Business Division of the institution. She currently serves as the treasurer of the institution. She's also an honorary treasurer of the Lagos State branch, that is the very branch. VJE, as she's popularly called, is married with 3 children. And so that's the profile of the third person, the third panelist that we do have. So we've been able to read the 3 panelists, that of ESV Kamaruddin Lawal, that of ESV Olusegun Oluyemo, and that of ESV Vivian Eweneze, who I refer to as VJE, because she was once my boss. I mean, once a boss will always be a boss. I worked under her many years ago and had the privilege of learning from her. So these are the profile of the people that we have lined up this afternoon. So I don't know if ESV Kamaruddin is available at the moment to quickly share his thought with us.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
I still can't see Kamaruddin here. It's quite surprising.
Okay, so
maybe we'll start with Mr. Oluyemo.
Okay, is Mr. Oluyemo on the panel? I mean, is he on the panel right now? I mean, can we?
Yes, he is. He is there.
Oh, very good. Yes. Very good.
Okay, Kamaruddin just logged in now. He's still trying to connect his audio. If you can look at your screen, you see it there.
Okay, yeah, I think I can.
But because he will just be coming in and maybe it will be loss of breath or something like that.
Okay, so I think
can we see how Mr. Oluyemo?
I think that will be fine. So at least at this time, so we'll just probably go into what Mr. Oluyemo will be sharing with us. Mr. Oluyemo is meant to share his thought with us on the prospect of estate surveyors and valuers in the real estate sector. Mr. ESV Olusegun Oluyemo, the principal partner of Segun Oluyemo and Company. His profile has been read, so he'll be sharing his thought with us this afternoon on the sub-team prospect of estate surveyors and valuers in the real estate sector. Please, can we have ESV Olusegun Oluyemo, please?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. As I've been read out, my name is ESV Segun Oluyemo, the chairman of the branch, the very branch, ESV Dotun Bamigola.
That's an additional very, sir.
Fellow of the institution, the other panelists, as well as, well, let me accord them that's a privilege of calling them the noble colleagues, the people that this webinar is meant for, because they are still in the process of being groomed to become a estate surveyor, qualified professional estate surveyor and valuer. I want to say that I want to thank you for the privilege that the branch has given me to speak on the topic. The general theme is the pathway to become a professional estate surveyor, to become an associate. And my own sub-theme is the prospects that are there for those who will have gone through the crucible or the refinement of becoming a estate surveyor. After the qualifications in school, that is from the secondary school to university level, and they have come out, acquired whether it's BSc, whether it's HND. But it doesn't stop there. I think it's one of the, I would say it's one of the thresholds now to become a professionally qualified estate surveyor before you can be accorded the respect among the committee of estate surveyors and valuers. We should have had Kamal Vin, who I'm looking at him on the dashboard before me, who will have talked about all the necessary steps or the route that as a probationer that you have to go through before you become a qualified surveyor. He's still coming behind me, but he will have been the John the Baptist, the forerunner for me. And let me pick it up from here. Well, it's like what I'm being asked to do this evening, this afternoon. It's like a referendum on what I have been doing as an estate surveyor and valuer to become, after I was qualified to and elevated to the status of estate surveyor and valuer, because it is what we have been doing that we now tell those who are coming behind us what the experience has been. I try to take a look into what is a professional, what is a prospect. It is defined somewhere as possibility or likelihood of occurrence of things. That is number one. Number two is a person regarded as likely to succeed or as a potential customer. Then the third one is the opportunities that are opened to who have become professional estate surveyors in this regard. We may say the hope. We may give another English interpretation, expectation. We may say it's chance, like I said before, possibility, or promise, or dream. It can be negative, it can be positive. But for this afternoon, it's the positive side of it that we want to look at. What are the prospects? Before we talk before I list those prospects, I want to inundate the probationers that are on this, that we are addressing today. That look, it is not enough. Yes, you have got the training, you have written your exam, then you have gone through some training, some kind of schooling. But I want to tell you that it's not enough, and not that I want to harass you or scare you. What I'm talking about is that you need to be professionally qualified to be called a professional. And that is when those opportunities that I will be talking of can be harnessed by you, and that you can maximize on them to really to really get the opportunity served and converted to reality for you. I want to tell you that there is nothing like being a professional, because if you are not a professionally qualified person, you'll be treated as a second fiddle, and the inferiority complex will continue to haunt you wherever you go to. Imagine that where you have to go to, that if there is if there is annual general meeting at the national level, you can only be seen, you cannot be heard. Peradventure, you have a good idea, you can only pass it through somebody who is qualified to help you ventilate it out. So that is why you must put it at the back of your mind, because some people, after passing the exam, they become relaxed, they become lethargic, they don't want to go forward. It happens to me as a person. That is a conversion for you, because when they were reading my profile the other side, you should have queried that why did this man pass out in 1987, 87, 88 search, and between that time, he did not become professionally qualified in 2001. I want to tell you that I became lethargic, as usually some do. I wrote the exam of the institution in 1999, and I passed it there. But I submitted my synopsis, I think about 1 year later. The synopsis was approved, and mind you, it did not cross my mind to go and write it. So, I mean, to write the project dissertation and submit it. Until about, I think, 1999 or there about 2000. That is when I wrote it, and then went for the interview and passed it. So some people are like that. So I want to sound a note of warning is that it's a bad example. Don't copy it. Because if you are not a professional, nobody will recognize you. And the opportunities we are talking about cannot come on your lap until you get it. And I want to tell you that professionalism is also about the qualities and behaviors you exhibit and the manner in which you conduct yourself during your business affairs. And further, I want you to know that what will professionalism bring to you. First, even from the social pedestal, if you consider it from the social angle. Firstly, like I said, within the family, in some arenas, you can only be seen, you must not talk, can't be heard. Then two, it gives you a great confidence when you are going for a job, and then you have to give the profile like we did, and they see it, because most of the jobs now, even on international level, are requesting, that are demanding that you must be professionally qualified, and you must radiate it and practice it and show it to people that yes, you are one. If you don't have it with some of the requirements and requisite requirements for getting job, you can't be given, you can't be considered. Over and above, I just digress to make sure to gear you up, not what I know that what you want to hear is the opportunities that are bound you can tap in on when you become a qualified estate surveyor and valuer. What are the job opportunities that you can leverage on? The first one is, I will attack it from the point of view of both public and private perspectives, because that is, as an estate surveyor, you have been wired, estate surveyor and valuer, you have been wired to work in so many places, multifaceted places. Do you know the reason? The reason is just simply because everybody in this world, every organization is connected to land resource, whether directly or indirectly. So therefore, if you have your biros and pencils there, firstly, you can work in the public like ministries, departments, and agencies. Almost all of them need an estate surveyor. So if you are qualified, you can go there. You can work in private companies. You can work in their multinational institutions as their in-house surveyors and valuers. So you can work in oil and gas company. You can work in telecom companies. You can work in manufacturing companies. The fast food, which we call restaurants, are not left out. And the latest fad is even more, that estate surveyors and valuers have been engaged. That when you live there, it's not limited to that place. You can work as lecturer. You can work as a lecturer. So in private practice, when you set up your home or employed, your services or your expertise will be required in banks, in private companies, multinational manufacturing industries, to provide services in valuation for different purposes. That's an aspect. You can, under it, you can be engaged to take the inventory of the assets, both movable and unmovable, of that company. Thereafter, you can now be asked further to prepare their asset register, which can be used for so many things. For head of financial account preparation, and to even know whatever they have, so that they can guide against it from those who may want to steal them. You can be engaged in intellectual property valuation. You can be engaged in real estate advisory services, which have which has branches like restructuring of network assets of your clients. Some of your clients, they have properties that some of your clients, they have properties which are high due. You can advise them on what to do with them, or return them to highest and best use. Then some do have property, but because of sentiment, they don't know how to convert it to cash or use it to restructure their holdings. You can advise them. In agency, you can do lesson, you can do purchases, you can do sales. You may just be engaged to advise on the value. So you have valuation being combined with estate agency there. Management of property. Yes, this is a very fertile ground. I can tell you that the stock of housing or stock of properties that we have, the estate surveyors and valuers, even with the quacks that have been eroding into our practices, they are not managing up to 10% of those assets. So there is an opportunity there. You can be a lot of developers around now constructing or developing private estates all around the place. You can be used to prepare feasibility and viability appraiser before they come in or do their do their investment. Untitled documentation, that is another not well tapped yet, or not well tapped avenue that you can latch on. You can be engaged to carry out the perfection of title or mortgage on assignments, short line approval, and self-billing approval. I do that very well. I do short line approval. I do self-billing approval very well. Then, like I said before, you yourself, you can be engaged in facility management too. That's another area that a lot of our professional members are going into. You can be engaged in hotel and tourism management and hospitality management. I manage quite some hotel, and I can tell you everything that I've told you here, there are opportunities that are there for estate surveyors and valuers to explore, as you are coming out, as you are trying to elevate yourself to associateship grade. But I want to sign is a note of warning. That note of warning is that, like I said earlier on, it is not going to come easy unless you make sure that you become an established professional. Then, before I round up, I want to give you some tips on what will be expected of you as a professional estate surveyor and valuer by your clients. Your appearance matters a lot. The way they say that the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. Then, demeanor, that is your demeanor, the way that you behave to your clients is very, very necessary. If you are a cocky person, you are not polite, you are not well spoken, you will not be given the necessary respect. You must be a very reliable person, trustworthy, that your integrity is not questionable before your client can trust you. Your competence must not be in doubt at all. So for you to develop your competence, you must not just end at a place. You must not be stagnant. You must continue to learn, like the chairman said, that he is not afraid to learn at any given period. You must do training upon training, attend training, read journals, read books. Don't be like people that they say if you want to give them good things, just hide it inside the book. They will not go there. You must be ethical. Your ethics must show. Then you must maintain your poise. Your organizational skills must be a top notch. You must be accountable. You must have a phone etiquette, because nowadays, most of our transactions, we do them on phone. We do them on phone. But there are still some challenges, but they are surmountable. I will tell you, we have a situation that we are afraid, or not afraid, but we are too concerned about how those that I will call quack, because if you are not professionally qualified, you are a quack, have eroded into our profession. But I will say, I will hang it on us, because Yoruba has a proverb that if the wall does not have a crack, the lizard cannot come into it. What do I mean? As at this morning, we have only 5,622 members, serving the population of 200 million all over the country. In Lagos, we have 1,276 members, serving 22 million population. When I did the ratio, for national, it came to 0.0002811. Hear me again. 0.0002811%. You can see that it is not a laughing matter. In Lagos, that one increased a bit, 0.0058% to the population of 22 million. You can see that the Yanni gap is there. And nothing exists in vacuum. Somebody will fill it up. That is how we have given room. So we are doing a lot of advocacy now, but it's not enough. We need to declare emergency on how we can get a lot of our members qualified as estate surveyor. No disadvantage, but advantage. That means you have a wide gap that is opened. You have the field that is very big through which you can come in and leverage on the opportunities that are available to us as estate surveyors and valuers to grab the market. That is as at now, so it can be said, because a lot of people that I was speaking with one of the juniors recently. He told me, there were a lot of estate surveyors and valuers. There were a lot of farms, but I think if he has this figure today, that 5,622 is the last registered member since 1969, when our institution started functioning. He will be aghast that we have not even started. So he has the opportunity. Then I want to tell you that you can create opportunity by yourself. The saying is that what can be measured can be managed. At this point, I have done with it, and I believe you will have gained one or two points and areas where you can come in and leverage on and become an estate surveyor and founder. Okay, before I just remember a point. There is another thing, another opportunity, other land documentation. There are some areas in Lagos where those leases were granted years ago, 40 years ago, and 50, 60, 70 years ago. No matter the number of years of leasehold interest, it's what you and I know, that one day it will expire. But some people do not know. They thought they have freehold interest. It is whenever they want to do any transaction, particularly says that the on-expiry date will now stay them. So we can go there and do a lot of investigation and capture that area, sell the idea to the ministry, and then the ministry can engage you or those people in the area. If you tell them the disadvantage of the title they are still holding, that's an opportunity again that you can leverage on. Thank you for bringing me here this afternoon, and thank you to all the listeners and the probationers. I pray that the God Almighty will be with you and straighten you to the path on which the quest will be there, that you don't want to practice like a quack. You want to have the respect of professionally qualified estate surveyor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ESV Oluyemo. Thank you so much. You've touched on so many issues here, and I want to believe that, these are real issues, especially when you give those issues with regards to the figures and all the data with regards to the number of estate surveyors and valuers. It shows that there's a wide gap to the field. Thank you so very much. I would like to also still remind us, before we go on to the second speaker, I would like to remind us that for those of us who have questions, let's please use the chat room. To share our thoughts. You can go to the chat room to share your thoughts and ask your question, and you can engage other participants. So please do not forget. For most of the things that is said, I'm sure a lot of us have had one or two things that we've written down, areas that we probably had one or two questions I want to ask him. So please, let's proceed to the chat room to drop our questions and engage with, let's drop our thoughts. And he's going to come back, we're going to come back to that later on when we're doing the question and answering session. Once again, thank you, ESV Oluyemo. We are indeed blessed, and we are it's a great pleasure to have you share your thoughts with us. Thank you very much. All right, without further ado right now, I want us to go back to the first speaker who we was meant to speak earlier on. ESV Kamaruddin. I have read his profile and we don't have too much of time to go over his profile all over again. So let's quickly have ESV Kamaruddin, who will be speaking to us about what are the process, what routes do we have to go through the NIESV membership and ESVABON registration. He's going to be giving us the nitty-gritties. What are the things that we expect to know? I'm sure a lot of us on this panel, I mean, not on this panel alone, but a lot of us, the attendees will have serious questions in this regard. And taking the cue from what ESV Oluyemo just said, talking about the need for us to bridge the gap. I'm sure ESV Kamaruddin will have a lot to share here so that we can take one or two things and take advantage of this opportunity that we have to become associate members. So please, can we have ESV Kamaruddin Lawal to share his thoughts with us? ESV Kamaruddin Lawal, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, my chairman, and good afternoon, the panelists. Good afternoon, all participants. I'm very sorry for the delay we had. It was just due to some mix-up somewhere. This speech is supposed to come before but I think it's okay. We are going to find a way to harmonize. Now, my name is Kamaruddin Lawal, an estate surveyor and valuer, and I'll be speaking to you this afternoon on routes to associate membership of NIESV and ESVABON registration. The focus, the objective of this forum is to expose the participants to the various routes to associate membership of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, and as well as registration with the Estate Surveyors and Valuers Registration Board of Nigeria. There are basically three routes to the associate membership of the institution. We have the student members route, the graduate or provisional members route, and the senior professionals route. Irrespective of the route that a candidate chooses to take among the three that have been mentioned, he or she is required to fulfill the basic O-level requirements. According to the entry guidelines of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers on professional exams, which was approved on 25th February 2017, it states, candidates seeking entry into any stage of the professional qualifying examinations of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers must possess SSC or its equivalent with credit passes in at least 5 subjects, which must include English language, mathematics, economics, 1 basic science from agricultural science, biology, chemistry, and physics, and any other subjects. Now, this is a general requirement that cut across any of the routes a person decides to take, whether the student member route, the graduate or professional route, or the senior professional routes. Now, I'll be picking the routes one after the other, and I will speak about the academic requirements under each, as well as professional requirement, which otherwise known as test of professional competence. The student members route. The student members route allows a candidate to join the institution as a student member and pursue progression up to associate cadre. The candidates in this category, there are 3 different candidates in this category. We have holders of SSC or its equivalent with 5 credits in the relevant subjects as mentioned earlier. We have graduates of other disciplines other than estate management and valuation. They are graduates of other disciplines and they now want to join, they want to become associate of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. They join through the student member route. When they are registered, they register as student member and are given student membership number. Then the third categories of people here are undergraduates of estate management and valuation in the university or polytechnic. This category of people can also explore the student members route. Even though they are in they are pursuing their degree, they can as well be writing or be pursuing the student member route, and they can become associates of the institution or even register with the board before they graduate. It depends on how fast they can go. Then the candidates in this group shall enroll under industry-based supervisor. That is one of the requirements, who must not be less than 5 years post-election for professional experience sake. Now, let us now look at the academic requirement proper for student member route. After a student member has obtained a student membership number, then he is set and he is attached to an industry-based supervisor. Then he is set to commence the writing of professional exams of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. According to the entry guidelines approved by Council on 25th February 2017, we have 3 stages of exam, which a candidate that passed through the student member route must pass, sit for and pass. We have Foundation in Estate Management, FEM, Professional Qualifying Examination 1, PQ1, Professional Qualifying Examination 2, PQ2, Professional Qualifying Examination 3. For Professional Qualifying Examination 3, we have 2 options. We have the option A and the option B. The option A comprises of 4 courses, while the option B comprises of 8 courses. Any candidate that passed through the student member route is expected to write the option B, which is the option with 8 courses. And thereafter, it proceeds to professional practice examination. At this point, the professional qualifying examination and professional practice exam, PPE, can be combined in one diet, while all the previous ones will be written from diet by diet. The candidate is therefore expected to pass all the exams. Upon the passing of all the exams up to the PPE level, such a candidate has completed the academic requirements for becoming an associate of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. The next step is now the fulfillment of the test of professional competence. At this stage, the focus is for the candidate to prepare towards passing associate election interview. First, he must be qualified before he can be invited for associate election interview by the membership committee. And to qualify for associate election interview, after fulfilling all academic requirements, a candidate is required to fulfill the following. 1, purchase of logbook, diary, and analysis sheets, and record all activities for the 2 years pupillage in them. 2, submit for approval 1-page synopsis of not more than 100 words for a critical analysis. And this synopsis, the topic of this synopsis or the critical analysis, this topic must be based on the candidate's experience during the period of pupillage. And that is why part of the requirements now is that when submitting synopsis for approval, there are certain documents that have to be attached. Before I mention the document, first, we must know that the candidate is required to sign, the supervisor is required to sign, and the synopsis must bear the seal of the supervisor. Now, apart from the documents that will go with the synopsis, the PP results, the relevant pages of the logbook, pages that are relevant to the topic that the candidate is writing on, and the synopsis form, which will be filled. Then, next stage is, once the synopsis is approved, the candidate can now begin to write the critical analysis. What is critical analysis? In the past, we used to have, people call it thesis, and they call it all sorts of names. But it is actually critical analysis. Critical analysis is a technical report. It's different from the project we write in our tertiary institutions. It's a technical report of a project carried out or partook in by a candidate during his period of pupillage, upon which he has grown interest and he wants to report to the institution his experience and solutions that have been proffered during a period when the project was on. Then the candidate is expected to produce evidence of his attendance of a minimum of 2 national conferences, 1 national MCPD, mandatory continuing professional development, 1 state mandatory continuing professional development. In all of these, the candidate is expected to have a minimum total of 20 credit points during the period of pupillage. Now, before I go on this, I want to emphasize that the conference and MCPD, they are like floats in a project. They can be done during the period of pupillage of the candidates. We have found a situation where some people they don't even know, they didn't know that they were going to attend conferences until they finish their critical analysis. This is a float, and candidates must, as during the period of pupillage, must be attending MCPDs and conferences, so that when you get to that stage, the stage of submission, it won't be an issue. It has delayed some people because they do not have the requirements. Then we have the credit points are assigned as follows. For national conference, we have 7 credit points. National MCPD, we have 5 credit points. 1 day state MCPD, 3 points. 2 days state organized MCPD, 5 credit points. Next is the candidate shall complete the institution's application for interview form, the one we normally refer to as the pink form. And the pink form was designed by the candidate supervisor, 2 financially up-to-date fellows of the institution, 2 financially up-to-date associates of the institution, not less than 5 years post-associate election. And the form was designed by the branch chairman of the candidates branch. In Lagos State, Lagos branch, pink form is usually submitted to the state executive, and a candidate that has submitted his pink form, after paying all the required dues, will be invited for a chat. And it is important for me to say at this point that in the past, when you go for state chat in Lagos State, what you find is that it was the rule then that after the state chat, you are made to pledge a certain sum into the benevolent fund of the branch. But the current administration has taken away that, just to make things easy for probationers and graduates who are aspiring to become associates of the institution. This has yielded tremendous results, and we hope that current probationers and students who are aspiring to be associate through Lagos State branch, we take advantage of this. Now, the next thing is the application form shall be submitted with, that is the green form now, it shall be submitted with 10 copies of the critical analysis, duly certified and sealed by the supervisor. Completed logbooks, diary and analysis sheets. Then the candidate would make a payment of the required application fee, including the payment of all outstanding dues, before such a candidate can be invited for interview. Upon the satisfactory of the membership committee, the membership committee is the committee that is in charge of test of professional competence. But for all academic requirements, the National Education Committee is in charge. So upon the satisfactory of the membership committee with the candidate's application, it shall invite him to appear before it for interview. Now, at the interview, the candidate is required to do the following. 1, present all his original certificate for citing by the interview panel. 2, satisfy the interview panel on his competence on the critical analysis, professional knowledge, and current affairs, both within the profession and in the society at large. The candidate must score a minimum of 50% average for a pass mark. The candidate must donate to the institution a minimum of 2 standard textbooks in any area of the of estate management and valuation profession. And the candidate is required to pay a mandatory pledge into the institution's benevolent funds. The moment a candidate passes the election interview and pays all the required fee, including the mandatory pledge, he is admitted into the associate cadre of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. The candidate is thereafter inducted and presented with associate membership certificate. At this point, the membership number of the candidate will change. Like the student member, the candidate in the categories of student member that entered with student route, student membership route, they will be carrying their student membership number until they become associates. As soon as they become associates, the number changes to associate number M0 something. And at this point, they can now use the appellation ANIVS after their names. Now, registration, at this point, the candidate has become an associate of the institution. The next stage is registration with ESVs. Registration with the Estate Surveyors and Valuers Registration Board of Nigeria qualifies a person to be a registered estate surveyor and valuer who can practice anywhere in Nigeria. And there are a lot of opportunities, like Mr. Luyemo spoke earlier. An associate member of NIESV seeking to register with the board shall fulfill the following requirements. He shall purchase application form from the board, fill and submit same together with the copies of the following documents. 1, associate membership certificate of NIESV. In the past, ESVs used to accept a letter of confirmation of associate, the one they normally issue after you pay your pledge. But now the system has changed. The system is now such that you must do induction, obtain your associate membership certificate before you can approach ESVs for registration, before you can apply for registration at ESVs. Then, academic certificates must produce academic certificates. Then, there's a new development. The new development is that any associate of NIESV seeking to register with Estate Surveyors and Valuers Registration Board of Nigeria must show evidence. They must show evidence of at least 3 months knowledge of practical, 3 months practical knowledge of valuation with an industry-based supervisor or in his place of work. So what this means is that the candidate will be required to get a letter after he has become an associate. He'll be required to get a letter from either from his place of work or from his industry-based supervisor that he has gain knowledge of valuation for a period of 3 months. It's now part of the requirement to be submitted to the board before a candidate can be invited for registration interview. Then, letter of recommendation or attestation from candidate's employer, tertiary institution, and 2 referees are also part of the requirements. Upon satisfaction of the board with the candidate's application, the candidate is invited for registration interview. At the registration interview, the candidate is expected to answer questions from the general real estate, current affairs, and maybe specifically in the areas of interest of the candidate. Sometimes the panelists will ask that which area is he really, does he really specialize on, and they ask questions from that area. The candidate is thereafter notified of his results, whether he passes or not. If the candidate passes the interview, he is inducted, he is given certificates of registration with the board, he is given a seal. In the past, it used to be stamp and seal, but today we now have the adhesive stamp. The adhesive stamp is now purchased and is now carrying a registered member's name. And such a candidate will now have what we call RBN number or seal number. At this point, the candidate can now use the appellation RSV after his name, Registered Surveyor and Valuer. Now, following the student member route, we have exhausted all the steps. Now, I want to quickly move to the graduates to probational members route. The graduates to probational members route allows a candidate to join the institution as a graduate or probational member and pursue professional progression in the associate membership cadre of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. The candidates in this category are a BSc holder in estate management and valuation who shall be required to register as a graduate member of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers and given a graduate member number. Second, 2, an HND holder in estate management and valuation who shall be required to register as a probational member of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers and be given probational member number. Candidates in this category shall be required to show evidence of work experience under an industry-based supervisor who must not be less than 5 years post-election. Candidate can sit for professional exam during the National Youth Service. In the past, you have to complete your National Youth Service before you commence your pupillage, before you can think of writing exam. Now, a candidate that's coming through graduate or probational members can now write the professional qualifying exam as well as professional practice exam during the service year, provided that such a candidate can present a statement of results from his tertiary institution. A professional exam that a candidate in this category will sit for depends on 2 factors. Number 1 is whether he graduated from university or polytechnic. 2, whether such a candidate graduated or whether such a candidate, whether the university or polytechnic where the candidate graduated from has ESVs accreditation as at the time that candidate graduated. These are the 2 factors that will shape what exam to write after he has graduated. Whether he graduated from university or polytechnic, or whether the school has accreditation as at the time he graduated. Now, a graduate of any university with ESVs accreditation as at the time he or she graduated shall only be required to sit for and pass the professional practice examination, PPE. A graduate of any university without ESVAB accreditation as at the time he or she graduated shall be required to sit for and pass professional qualifying examination 3A. 3A. You know, I mentioned earlier that there are two options under professional qualifying examination 3. We have the A part, and the A part is the option of 4 courses. And we have the B part, which is the option of 8 courses. When I was discussing the student member rules, I said the professional qualifying examination 3 that will be written by any candidate that passes through that route is that of 8 courses. But in this regard, a graduate of any university without ESVAB accreditation will be required to sit for and pass professional qualifying examination with the option of 4 courses. And we also be required to sit for and pass professional practice examination PPE. However, such a candidate can combine the PPE and PQ3 together at this stage. Now, we have a graduate of any polytechnic with ESVAB accreditation. The status of a graduate of a polytechnic with ESVAB accreditation is the same status as a graduate of a university without ESVAB accreditation. They are going to write the same exam, PQ3 of 4 courses options and professional practice examination. Like I said, both can be written in one diet. A graduate of any polytechnic without ESVAB accreditation as at the time he or she graduated shall be required to sit for and pass professional qualifying examination 3B. That is the option of 8 courses. He graduated from polytechnic as at the time of graduation, the school does not have ESVAB accreditation. Then he will be required to sit for PQ3 of 8 courses and professional practice examination. The two can be sat for in one diet. Once the candidate passes all NIESV examinations up to PPE level, he has completed the academic requirements of becoming an associate member of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. It means he has fulfilled all the academic requirements. The next stage is the stage of test of professional competence. The test of professional competence for students, a candidate of students that come into the student member route, is the same thing with that of a graduate, that of a candidate that come into the graduate or probational member route, except that the candidate that pass through, that come into the graduate or student member route, we have to present evidence of national service, that is the discharge certificate, which will not be required for anyone who goes through the student member route. Then registration with ESVAB. Registration with ESVAB, they say all the requirements for registration with ESVAB under the student members route are also applicable for graduates or candidates that come into graduate or professional members routes. Now, the third stage is the stage of senior professional routes. This route is for matured candidates who must have put in not less than 25 years in service. A candidate to be considered under this route must possess the following: 1, a degree or diploma in estate management and valuation. He must be a member or is a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, RICS, at associate level for not less than 5 years. 3, must have held or is holding management position in the real estate section of a company, if in employment, or have been working in an estate surveying firm recognized by the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Then, the candidate shall submit a detailed resume detailing qualification and experience. He shall submit a case study on any aspect of real estate market in Nigeria or the profession of not more than 5,000 words. The candidate shall also submit his application for election through the branch chairman of his place of residence or his place of work. The candidate shall be invited to appear before the management committee and shall be required to fulfill the following. 1, present all his original certificate for citing by the interview panel. Satisfy the interview panel on his competence on the critical analysis, professional knowledge, and current affairs. He must score a minimum of 50% average for a pass mark. He must donate to the institution a minimum of 2 standard books in any area of estate management and valuation. And he must pay a mandatory pledge into the institution's benevolent funds. Registration with ESVs under the senior professionals rules. Registration with ESVs for a candidate that's coming through the senior professionals route is the same as the first 2 we discussed earlier. It's the same approach. Now, before I conclude, I want to say that for a very long time, many people do not know that there are, especially those who are in school, do not know that there are routes towards which they can become associates of the institution even before they graduate from the university or polytechnics. Just like people write ICAM, when we were in school, some of our mates were, when they were in school, they became chartered accountants and all. So we have such in our profession too. It all depends on, we know that that is where we are going eventually. We plan it along, and we have had examples of candidates who became associate of NIESV before they graduated from their tertiary institution. And we have also had cases of people who did not study estate management as in their first degree. Some studied law, some studied mathematics, physics, and today they are estate surveyors and valuers. So these routes are there for us to exploit. I want to encourage the participants, the students, as well as our probationers and graduates to look to. Let us try as much as possible to start early enough. It's going to pay off at the end of the day because there are so many opportunities that are bound. Thank you very much for listening. I want to believe that this will have some positive effects in our progression. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ESV Kamarudin. That's really a mouthful, Indeed, I mean, there's no better way to capture it than it's been captured. And I want to believe strongly that I believe that it's important for us to begin to take some few notes, Okay, so right now I want to quickly go to the third panelist. But before I go to the third panelist, I know we've spent considerable time. Again, if you have questions, you can please go drop your question. We may be privileged to take 1, 2, or 3 questions, depending on, I have 1 or 2 that I intend to interact with the panelists. But again, for a lot of us that are here, should you have 1 or 2 questions, please just go to the chat room and drop your questions so that we'll do justice to that. I mean, without further ado, let's go to the last aspect of our lessons tonight. This afternoon, series rather, this afternoon. And I told you earlier on when I was reading the profile of this wonderful woman, I personally, I took instructions from her for so many years while I was working with the company with Dia Fatimile there. She trained quite a lot of us. And that's why I said earlier on that we refer to her as BJE for those who had the privilege of working with us. So right now I want to have...
Some moderator.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Pardon me, please.
Okay.
I want to say thank you to the first 2 speakers, but
okay,
sorry for interrupting. I realized that the speakers did not share their screen or their materials. I believe the secretariat has that. So if the secretariat can help them upload it at the back end while people are on screen, it will be of help so that people can relate to what they are saying. Thank you. That's just my little contribution.
Okay, that's very thoughtful, Mr. Chairman. I think that's important. I think the secretariat should do that. That will help a great deal too. So quickly, like I said, let's just go on to wonderful ESV VJE, as I call her. Really, her name is ESV Vivian Iweneze. Please, can we have her to talk to us on? She'll be doing justice on the topic, the practice of property management, commencement, processes, and standards. Please, can we have VJE online?
Thank you very much, the moderator, ESV Olusanjo Fawole. Good afternoon, noble colleagues. I am privileged to be your midst this afternoon. Before I start, let me first appreciate the very branch chairman, ESV Dotumba Migbola, and his team for this great idea of organizing a program like this for our upcoming estates of viewers and valuers. I want to acknowledge the first and the second speakers for their good presentation. I will start right away with my presentation as I want to share it on the screen. Yes, the topic before me is prospects, practice of property management, commencement, process, and standards. Just a minute, I'm trying to. Before I continue, I want to intimate us with what is property management. Property management is a highly complex function requiring considerable, my slide is misbehaving here, just a minute, okay. It's a highly complex function requiring considerable professional talent, knowledge, experience, patience, and common sense. As we proceed, you will understand why I carefully chose these words: professional talent, knowledge, experience, patience, and common sense. An effective and efficient property management of property is essential to maintain the property in its best possible use in view of the complexity of modern day landlord and tenant legal, social, and economic relationship. Estate surveyors and valuers are often employed to manage these complexities in properties to ensure that the investments in them are protected by maximizing rents, ensuring that tenants comply with covenants in their lease relating to use and maintenance, ensuring service charges are correctly charged and insurance assessed at the appropriate level. As you all know, our motto in the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers is honesty and devotion. And you cannot separate that from the profession. You can't separate that from property management. To be a property manager, an estate surveyor and valuer, you must be honest and trustworthy. It's very key. I'll tell you that one satisfied client can give you additional 5 clients. When you manage a property for a client and is satisfied, you can be sure that you can get additional 5 clients from that particular client. And this is a caveat. I called it a caveat because it's very instructive. One dissatisfied client can make you lose more instructions. And I also want to give a note, that's why I put it as caveat. Do not accept any instruction you cannot be able to effectively manage. The only reason you will do that is when the only exception to this is the case where you manage a sizable portfolio for the client. Let me explain. If a client walks into you and says, I have 5 properties, maybe you have some in Ikoyi, some in the mainland Yaba, and you have something in Tongo Tedo, for instance, or Abule Egba. Ordinarily, if you know you cannot effectively manage the property at Abule Egba, you will turn it down. But because it's a portfolio, this same client has other properties you are also managing. You may not be able to turn down that property, that instruction. That's why I said, except if you are managing a sizable portfolio for that particular client. Now we go straight to the topic of the day, commencement. How do you secure property management brief? You have what we call walk-in briefs. You have what we call referrals and letting to management. Walk-in briefs, what do I mean by that? A client walks into your office and says, please, I have a property in Surulere or Yaba or Ikoyi as it may be, and I want you to manage this property for me. That's walk-in briefs. You also have a situation where you get referrals, maybe because you have managed a particular property so well and the client is so impressed. That was why I used that language saying, when you have one satisfied client, the tendency for you to have 5 more clients are there. So you can also get a referrals. Then you also have letting to management. Letting to management is your letting property, which you intend to manage subsequently after the letting. How do you treat these instructions? The first thing you do when a client walks into your office and says, oh, I have a property in Ikoyi, for instance, is to demand for a letter of instruction, a written letter of instruction. As you demand for that letter of instruction, the client, I'm going to be using landlord and tenant so that we can drive down the subject rather than clients. A landlord walks into your office and says, I have a property in Ikoyi. The first thing you must request is a letter of instruction from that landlord. The landlord is expected to give you 2 letters, a letter of instruction to your firm and another letter to the tenant, informing the tenant that your firm has been appointed as the managing agent of that particular property. And after that letter of instruction, what do? You accept the letter of instruction in writing. Afterwards, you prepare your management agreement. There has to be an agreement between you and the client. Then you go ahead to prepare a familiarization visit. How do you go about your familiarization visit? You are just meeting this tenant for the first time. So what you do is to write that particular tenant, including the letter of instruction, a photocopy of the letter of instruction that's been given to you, to that letter that you are sending to the tenant. That is when you have an inherited tenant, which I just mentioned as a walk-in instruction. When you go for your familiarization visit, what are you expected as an estate surveyor and valuer? You take inventory. Even if there have been an existing inventory in that property, you take inventories. Then you also ask for a copy of the tenancy agreement. The reason why this is very key is because that tenancy agreement is what enables you to know the relationship between the landlord and the tenant. Tenancy agreement varies. So you must ask for a copy of the tenancy agreement, either from your client, which is the landlord, or from the tenant. During the inspection, apart from the familiarization visit and the inventory taking, ask as many questions as possible from your tenant, because there might be some information that you are not privy to. Some landlords come in because they already have problems with their tenants and they want you to inherit this tenant. So you must engage your tenant at the point of that familiarization visit. Ask all the questions. You'll be shocked that some of the things the landlord has not told you, the tenant will share it with you. So from there, it makes your management very easy because you now know the next step of actions to take. What are the process and standards in property management? Rent drive. What do I mean by rent drive? A lot of us call it collection of rent. Rent drive, which involves collection and prompt disbursement. I'm using the word prompt disbursement, and I'm emphasizing it because we have noticed over time that that is the area where most of our colleagues are not being sincere. That's why I started with the motto of the institution: honesty and devotion. For you to be a good estate surveyor who manages property, you must exhibit that character. Honesty, trustworthiness is very key. We've had situations where some of our colleagues will collect rent and will not disburse promptly. That's why I put prompt disbursement. There are also situations where you collect your rent and the client says, you know what, I don't need this rent now, you can hold on to it. Those are exceptions. But outside that, I want to encourage our upcoming surveyors that when you collect the rent, you must disburse promptly. Do not collect client's rent and fix in your fixed deposit account for 2-3 months to yield interest before you disburse to client. Then that is very unethical, and it is not showing the integrity that you ought to show as an estate surveyor and valuer. Then we also have rent reviews to ensure optimum returns. How do you go about this? Of course, you have the property in a location, find out what is the rent passing in that location, and the standard of the property itself. That will enable you advise your client appropriately. We've had situations where clients will walk to you and say, oh, madam, the rent you are collecting from this property is not commensurate with what my other friends are getting. The question you ask yourself, are the two properties the same? The fixtures and fittings in that property, are they the same? They may not even be in the same location. So you must be able to, equip yourself with all that information so that when you have a client that is fussy about you increasing the rent, you should have basis for which that review has to be done. There must be statistics, considering the neighborhood, and other things with which you can drive your point to be able to convince your client on the need for you to collect whatever rent you are suggesting to that client. Then we also have what we call routine inspections. Under inspections, you have routine, you have pre-vacation, you have post-vacation. Your routine inspections usually will take, the way we were trained, you take routine inspections at least twice in a year, half yearly. But when you have a very good tenant who you know maintains his property very well, the accommodation very well, you really don't need to take inspections on half yearly. You can do it once in a year if you have a good tenant, because some people see it as you getting into their privacy and they are not too comfortable with that. So you need to understand your client and then be able to fix your routine inspections. And of course, during routine inspections, there are certain things you must be looking at: the utility bills, how is property being managed, the furniture and fixtures in the house. And some of us go for routine inspections, and what we are concerned with is all that the tenant is expected to do. No. Even when you go for routine inspections, look at the property. Is the property due for external painting? Is the compound of the property looking good? Because the landlord also have a responsibility. When you go for inspections, it's not just about the tenant. So you must look at all of this when you are taking your inspections. And of course, like we know, the pre-vacation inspection is taken when a tenant is about to vacate the property. You want to check out all the inventories you have taken ab initio when the tenant was moving in to confirm if the inventories are still the same. Sometimes you are lucky you even have an improved apartment. Sometimes the apartment is run down. So you must be able to do all of these inspections and then write the tenant on its responsibility as to the inspection you have taken. And fourth, there are also what we call inspection reports. Once you do this inspection, you're supposed to send a report to both the tenant and the landlord. Let me also mention here that it is very important that every inspections you take, your client is carried along. The reason is, you see, most clients see us as just rent collectors. They do not see us as people that really manage properties. But by the time you begin to inform your clients and copy them in some of these inspections you are taking, they take you more serious. They know you are actually taking good care of their properties. So any inspection you take, I will advise that it's not just for you to write the tenant, but also ensure that you put the landlord in copy. Then you have renewal and determination of tenancies or leases. This can be done either way. You are renewing your tenancy, you are not really, you are not increasing, you are not reviewing. So is either the tenant wise to say, oh, I do not intend to renew my tenancy. Those are part of the things that should be drawn up in the tenancy agreement. There's a specific period with which a tenant is expected to write to you if he's not renewed his tenancy. And so there's also a period you are supposed to write a tenant. Like I tell my people in my office, 7 months to the expiration of your tenancy, send a renewal. Sorry, for renewal, you can look at 3-4 months. But if it's a review, you intend to review that tenancy, send your review 7 months to the expiration. The reason is, if the tenant is not happy with your review, or the tenant is not interested, and you know that you're going to have issues, you still have your 6 months to issue the proper notice. I'm sure we know that for a yearly tenant, you must issue 6 months notice. So if you're going to be reviewing the rent on any property, it is ideal that that review goes quite early so that you can have enough time to discuss the rent, and if there's need for you to now issue the proper notice, you will do that. Supervision of repairs and maintenance work. Of course, that's also part of what we do in property management, but I'm not going to be stressing myself on that because I know a colleague of mine, ESV will be taking you on that tomorrow. So it's just normal supervision of repairs. So he was going to be taking you more on that. So let me not do too much on that. Monitoring of utility bills, very key. When you go out for inspections, you must ensure that you check the utility bills. Good enough. Most of the properties we have now are using prepaid meters. But let me tell you that some people bypass even these prepaid meters. So as an estate surveyor and value, when you go for inspections, you must ask for the vending receipt of those prepaid meters. You'll be shocked that a tenant has so much in his apartment. By the time he shows you the vending receipt, you are just seeing 5,000 in a month. That shows that the tenant is bypassing. And what some people do is that their heavy equipment, they connect it directly to the lights and then leave the light equipment for vending purpose. So when you get there and they show you the vending receipt, you think they are vending. They are not vending, they are bypassing. Things like their ACs, things like their washing machines, those ones that carry so much electricity bill, they will get an electrician who will connect them directly to the lights and just give you a receipt of maybe 5,000 in a month. And you think they are venting. But don't forget that the eco distribution, or those that are in charge of prepaid meters, they do what they call task force. They go around properties to check. The day they check and discover that there's a bypass, you will pay heavily. The tenant or whoever is the landlord pays heavily for it because they have a particular amount that you have to pay. And that's what they call loss of energy. And it's usually very huge. So please, when you go for your inspections, it is not enough for the tenant to just show you a vending receipt. Look at that vending receipt. See when last the tenant vended. Vis-a-vis the kind of equipment that that tenant is using. It will help you to determine whether the tenant has bypassed or not. Then you must also be familiar with extant laws of the state with respect to properties, like the Lagos State Tenancy Law 2011 is very important. As a property manager, you must know the laws contained in that Lagos State Tenancy Law 2011. Equip yourself with law, because even sometimes when you write tenants, you see some of them telling you, I am a yearly tenant, I'm supposed to be paid for 6 months, I'm supposed to be paid for 3 months. Some people tell you, can't I pay monthly rent? So if you don't know the laws of the land, they can put you off balance. So you must equip yourself with extant laws of the state, like the Lagos State Tenancy Law 2011, and preparation of status report and statement of accounts. Every half yearly, you are expected to prepare a status report for your client. There are some clients you give them every year. Whether the client asks for the report or not, that's your duty as a property manager. You must prepare a report, give the client all that you have done in the course of the year in terms of your rent drive, in terms of the inspections, in terms of every other thing, even the rent disbursement. You collate everything together and ensure that your clients have a proper report. That's what distances you. That's what separates you. That's what gives you an edge over lawyers. I've had situations where clients will tell you, a lawyer can manage my property. And I said, no. There's an extent to which a lawyer can do. We are trained estate surveyors and valuers, and it is us and our duty, part of our training is to manage properties, not lawyers. So these are some of the things that will give you an edge for you to be able to prove that indeed you are a trained estate surveyor and valuer. Tenant selection. I deliberately added tenant selection because you realize that when I was talking about briefs, I did mention letting to management. Tenant selection comes when you are taking a brief from letting to management. A client tells you, I have a property I want you to let. Please let me also mention that if you are going to let a property, do not let with the mind that you may not be managing. Of course, at the point of that letter, the client may tell you, I'm not sure you manage a property, just let for me only. But even at that, you must do due diligence in getting the tenant. The reason for that is you may not be letting that property at the point, you may not be managing that property after letting. But few months down the line, or a year down the line, the client comes back to you and says, you know what? That tenant you gave me is a very difficult tenant. Come and manage that tenant. So you must be very careful. Do not feel, oh, because I'm not going to manage the property, I'm not going to do my due diligence in getting the tenant. As a professional, you must do your due diligence. There are forms which we call KYC that the tenant is expected to fill, and you are expected to follow up on those forms, what we call spot check. It's not enough for somebody to just tell you, I work in XYZ, and you take it like that. I will cite an instance because I'm a practical person. Recently, a client, a prospective tenant that saw one of our properties came and showed interest. After filling the form, one of my colleagues said, okay, let's do a KYC, our usual KYC. The guy filled the form that he worked somewhere in the Ikeja GRA. By the time they got to the office of this prospective tenant, it was discovered that he wasn't even working there. And they asked after him and were told he does not work there. So you can see if that additional step was not taken, it would have been a problem. So the fact that somebody is filling your form does not guarantee that he actually works. You must do additional check because you are likely to either manage or not even manage it, because you may likely manage that property in the future. So it's very, very key that you take time to select your tenants. What are the qualities of a property manager? 1, promptness to appointments. As a good property manager, you must be prompt. Some of us, we go late for appointments. It does not speak well of us. When you have an appointment, you must ensure that you attend the appointment as certain. If for any reason you are delaying, call your client or call your landlord or your tenant to say, oh, I have a little delay, I may not be able to come in time. But the truth is, it is very important that you are prompt when you have an appointment. 2, responsiveness to clients and tenants' complaint. Very, very key. Don't forget that these are people that will be paying your rent when it is due. So when they have this complaint, please ensure you are prompt. Ensure you attend to it. Even when you don't have a solution, show some form of empathy. You know, like the last rain that fell, some of our properties were flooded. Of course, it's not our fault. We all know what happened, that rain was very, very heavy. But as soon as I saw some of the videos, immediately I called them up and apologized and told them we're going to send somebody. As of today, I've sent my engineer to look at some of those properties and give us solutions. You don't just fold your hands and say, after all, it's general, it's not me, it's Lagos State. No, you must show that concern, because the tenants are also waiting for you when the rent is due to also tell you, you remember when I laid that complaint, you did not attend to it. You cannot come and demand for your rent now. So let's always show empathy when our tenants lodge complaint. 3, discipline. We must be very disciplined. I've mentioned a few of that when I was talking about the issue of you doing prompt disbursement of rent. Some of our colleagues are not disciplined. You collect tenants' rent and you run away. you collect tenant's rent and you refuse to disburse to a client. Our profession does not say that. We must live by the rules and of the profession. So you must be a very disciplined estate surveyor and valuer. And if for any reason you have made any mistake, please just allow it. I've heard situations where some surveyors will tell you, I took an inspection on the property and no inspection was taken. If you forgot to take an inspection or for any reason, why don't you say, I forgot, I'll take the inspection next day? And you see, sometimes some of these clients want to just see your sincerity and see your trustworthiness. You don't know the kind of relationship they have with the tenant. And they call you up and say, Madam, have you collected my rent? Or so. Oh, the tenant has not paid. The man puts up a call to the tenant. I said, I heard you have not paid my rent. The man says, I have paid 2 months ago. What would you say? It's very unethical. So whatever the position is, be truthful to your clients, be very transparent. It's very key in property management. Integrity and trust. Integrity and trust. You must have that as a quality for you to stay on board. I tell you, when I mentioned the referral, most of the properties that we manage by God's grace, a lot of them, 50% of the property we manage in View and Wednesday and Co are through referrals. And I'll tell you, some of these clients we have never seen them. Some of them are from US, Canada. We have not seen them till date, and yet we manage their properties because somebody referred our company to them. That's integrity. I'm sure if we are not good enough, I'm sure the client would not have referred us. We are quite a lot that we manage for that. We have not had, the only thing we just do is relate to them. So we must have that quality. It's very, very important. Then the last is, sorry. Oh, let me go back. I'm sorry. The last is neatness and courage. I know Mr. Oluyemo mentioned that when he was speaking. Some of us dress very shabbily. After all, why should I dress? It's not just inspection, is it not? The way you dress is the way you will be addressed, fellow estate surveyors and valuers. The way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. Dress posh, dress well. Let your clients see you dress neatly. You don't need to wear too expensive clothes, but look neat and look decent. You don't come into a client's office and you are sweating and you are cleaning yourself. And even if you took a public transport, at least before you enter that client's office, take out time, clean yourself properly, look decent, look at yourself again, dress up properly, and you walk in. You don't just walk from your boss and enter a client's office and say, I'm sorry, sir, I was running late, or the sun was too hot. No. Your courage matters a lot in the profession. You must look neat and you must look decent. Prospects. You ask, what are the prospects? Property management has very good prospects, but you must be able to manage your clients and tenants in the most professional way. That's the only way. From one property, you can get 5 properties. From 5 properties, you grow. That is the prospect. Where I worked, that Sonjo talked about, sometimes your management department is what pays the entire staff salary. I'm sure Sonjo will bear witness. Why? Because they have volumes, lots of portfolios. And how did they get it? Because of this I have mentioned over time. So you must carry yourself, you must do all those things for you to be able to, stay on board if you are a property manager. Secondly, once well done, it enables you to secure more instructions and increase your property management portfolio. Property management portfolio, you cannot have a large portfolio without doing some of these things that we have just mentioned. That is the only way. There's prospects in property management. A well-managed tenant today can become a landlord tomorrow and become your client. In fact, we have a lot of that in our office. Some of them are still tenants in our properties, and yet we manage for them as clients in other properties. So when you handle your tenant very well, don't look at the tenant and say it's not a common tenant. You don't know what the tenant is. You don't know the stuff. I have a tenant who lives in Ikeja. Meanwhile, he has a lot of properties in Aja, that the prices are even more than what he pays in the Ikeja. So if that tenant was not properly managed, there is no way you can get his instructions. In fact, very recently, 2 weeks ago, one of the properties we manage at New Court Place in Yaba here, because of the way we have managed the tenant, over the years, I didn't even know the tenant bought a flat in that same estate. Meanwhile, he was a tenant in our flat. By the time she was to move, she said she's very impressed with the way we handled her for the 4 years, because she built another house and was moving. That she's very impressed with the way we managed her for the 4 years she stayed in our flat. Just directly on top of our flats, she bought many years back, unknown to us, and she gave us the instruction. That's just 2 weeks ago. So we must be very careful the way we manage our tenants, because you don't know, the tenant today can become a landlord tomorrow. And if you manage that tenant very well, if you manage that tenant the right way, you can be sure that that tenant will give you property. Even when the tenant is not able to build, he will refer you to other of his colleagues or friends that have properties and say, I like the way my property manager manages my flat or my apartment. I want to recommend this firm to you. So you can actually have prospects through referrals. And that goes to say that you must, in conclusion, the reward for a job well done is more work. As you continue to excite more clients and tenants, you get more jobs on your way, and your professional image is laundered. Thank you very much for listening.
There's no better way to wrap this aspect of the panelists up that we just had right now. That was wonderful, bravo, and just superb. No better way. I told you earlier on, a few of us, I mean myself, and that was why I said earlier on that I'm very proud. I work with Mrs. BJ very well, and I was trained by her, and I'm glad, I am proud to say I can hold my head up anywhere to say she trained me. I mean, whilst I was in the apartment, that was wonderful. And I want to say this is a great privilege for as many of us who are listening and who are opportune to be here. I mean, because of our time, I know there are a few questions we're going to be taking. We have 2 questions already here, one for Mrs. Iwineze, and there's another one for Mr. Kamorudin. I had a few questions prepared, but again, because of our time, we may not be able to take all of those stuff. So let me quickly come to Mrs. Iwineze before we go back to Mr. Kamorudin. This question is from Mr. Matthew Okbara, who is saying, are tenants expected to pay rent within the notice to quit period? I mean, that's the question. Are tenants expected to pay rent within the notice to quit period? Mrs. Iwineze, do you want to quickly answer that for us?
Yes. There's no law that states that tenants are not expected to pay their rent within the period of the quit notice. Because the period of the quit notice, you are just only informing the tenant that the landlord is no longer interested in having that tenant as its tenant. It does not exonerate the tenant from paying its rent. Although you hear a few tenants saying, after all, you have given me quit notice, so why do you want me to pay? So what you do is to refer such tenant to the tenancy agreement. That's why I started by saying that the tenancy agreement is very key, because the content and the clauses in that tenancy agreement spells it out all. But answering this question, there is no law that says a tenant should not pay his or her rent, even though the tenant has been given quit notice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. As a follow-up to that, let me ask you this before I go to Mr. ESV Kamorudin. I mean, you did talk about the need to be conversant with the extant laws. You talked about the Lagos, the law of 2011 and all that. Do you want to pick specifically 1 or 2 terms or conditions or obligations in those areas, in those laws that you feel that, I mean, we may not have taken cognizance of, you know? So I want you to just probably touch on that. I just want to do a follow-up to that. I mean, that's one of the questions I do prepare here. And since you did mention that we should be very, very conversant with those laws, I want to just pick one or two that you feel that it's important for us to, I mean, to be aware of.
Okay, one that is very quick for me to mention here is because I'm going through it now. Like I told you, I like to be practical. Is the one that talks about notice required for abandoned premises. I have a case at hand where a tenant moved out. He hasn't even moved. He just left few things there, but locked up the place and has not paid his rent. So what did I do? I just went through, even though the lawyer has issued all the notices, I felt, let me read the tenancy law and see what the law provides in regards to that. And that is section 15 of the tenancy law, Lagos State Tenancy Law. The area that I will talk about is that a premises will be deemed to be abandoned where the A, tenancy has expired, and B, tenant has not occupied the premises since the tenancy expired and has not given up lawful possession of the premises. 2, following subsection 1 above, the landlord shall, 1, issue a 7 days notice of the landlord's intention to recover possession as prescribed in Form TL4. There's a form for 7 days notice, which shall be served by pasting the notice on the abandoned premises, and B, apply to court for an order for possession and an order to force open the premises. What am I trying to bring out here? If you look at the subsection 2, ordinarily, when a property is abandoned, you'll be thinking of, how do I issue another 6 months notice? No, the law says, because the tenant hasn't paid and is abandoned, all you need to do is to issue 7 days. 7 days notice. And after the 7 days notice, your lawyer applies not just for possession, but for forced opening. Because, you know, if it was a regular tenant, once you apply for possession, you're going to go back to court to apply for forced opening of the premises. But this law has given us that opportunity, if it's an abandoned premises, not just to apply for possession. At the same time, you can also apply for forced open of the premises. I don't know if that answers your question, Sanjo.
Yeah, that's fine. Incidentally, we are getting more questions here, so you probably just, you still have like 2 more questions to quickly answer. We don't have much of time, but let's take this. ESV Emeka Osungwe is asking that, is it possible to have a typical encompassing tenancy agreement? I think what he's trying to say is a model, like a template of what you consider a typical encompassing tenancy agreement that will cover most of the areas that you did talk about. Do you want to say something in that regard?
Yes. We can have tenancy agreement varies based on the transaction. It actually varies, but you can still have a template where most of the clauses are practically the same. All you just need to do is to get your lawyer to prepare, because usually I use lawyers for my agreements. Get a lawyer to prepare a tenancy agreement, but there are some basic clauses that you must have in a tenancy agreement. But other clauses that comes in depends on the transaction and depends on what happened in the course of you concluding maybe your letting and all of that. But I tell you, there are basic templates for tenancy agreement. Because we know certain responsibility that the landlord is supposed to do and certain responsibility that the tenant is supposed to do. But if this individual needs an advice in that line, he or she can call me later and I'll assist.
Okay, ma'am. Sorry, like I said, you have, it seems that a lot of people are beginning to ask more questions for you. Again, I mean, before I come back to you, let me quickly just ask this question from Mr. Kamaruddin. Mr. Kamaruddin, are you still there? Is Mr. Kamaruddin there? Okay, I think Mr. Kamaruddin is not.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Kamaruddin, can you quickly take this question? Somebody is asking that who approves the business name? He talks about, is it the Corporate Affairs Commission or ESVs? But he went further to ask that, can someone who has ANIESV register with CAC before ESVs? Meaning that the moment you get your, ANIESV, you become an associate. Can you go ahead to CAC before you go to ESVs? What's your take on this?
Okay, thank you very much, Salu Sanjo. Yes, I'm going to answer the two questions together. Now, registering a firm or registering a business name is the responsibility of the CAC. However, if the business name you want to register is for the purpose of having an estate firm, ESVs already has a guideline for that. And part of the guideline is that your surname has to appear in the name of your firm. So following that ESVs guideline, you can approach CAC. CAC will do the approval, but it has to conform with the guideline of ESVs. Except in the situation, then the other case is that where you want to register partnership. In registering partnership, yes, now pseudonym can be used. You may not use the name of the partners. They may use a pseudonym, but it has to be partnership that is not less than 3 professional members. Then the question as to registering a business name after getting your earnings before you register with the board. If you cannot register with the board except you are a registered member yourself, you must be a registered estate surveyor and valuer to be able to register a firm with the board. So registering a firm before you are a registered member, it may just be that, okay, you have registered it. If it's in conformity with what the guidelines of the board, you may use the same firm by the time you become a registered member and you want to register a firm with the board, because the requirement is that follow the guideline of the board, but go and register with the CAC and bring your name. Because if you register a name that does not conform with the guideline with CAC, that does not conform with the guideline of the board, is going to be rejected.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's well captured. Mrs. Eweneze, I come back to you again. Are you there, ma'am? Mrs. Eweneze, please, are you there?
Very well, I'm here.
Okay, very good. I mean, you've touched on this question I'm going to ask, but you may want to also say 1 or 2 things about it. This person is asking, same Matthew Okpara is asking, in what area does the property manager collaborate with lawyers to ensure effective property management and optimal returns to the client? I recall you did mention that you use lawyers a lot. I mean, you did mention that. So do you want to touch 1 or 2 areas for this person who is asking this question on what area do you think as property managers can we collaborate with lawyers?
Thank you. The only areas I think we can collaborate with lawyers is when it comes to drawing up the tenancy agreement. It's very important that you have a lawyer to draw up your agreement. I know most of us have our prototype agreements in our system, but I will always advise that we use lawyers. Even if you have to agree on certain fees that you want to pay the lawyer, I think it's best to use lawyers to draw up your agreement, because don't even also forget that when issues come up on such properties, if you have a lawyer you use regularly, which is what we do here in our office, when issues come up on such properties, you can also take legal counsel, as in legal advice from such lawyers. And they, of course, you'll be sure that they will represent your interest at that point in time. So the only collaboration I think we have most times with lawyers is in drawing up the tenancy agreement, and when there are issues that has to do with when there are legal issues. Outside that, I don't really think there's any other, when it comes to property management, I don't think there's really anything that we can do as regards.
Let me also quickly combine these 2 questions for you. This has been asked by Bankole. Bankole is asking if, it's a hypothetical question. He's saying, if my obligation and agreement is simply to let and not manage, why should the property owner hold me responsible 6 months down the line when the final decision to take in the tenant is the prerogative of the landlord after satisfying his or her due diligence? And he's also thanking you for the presentation. Did you get that question, ma'am?
Yes, I'm seeing it on my system.
Okay, very good. And maybe can you merge it with this other one by the one who talked about Is it ideal for
If
Surveyor to?
I understand bank holidays, okay.
Yeah. Did you get that? Where he was asking about?
I didn't get the Tokbe own. Can you repeat that, please?
Now, what Tokbe is asking is it ideal for Surveyor to prepare a tenancy agreement? And it was also saying, if the agreement prepared by Surveyor is it binding in the court of law? You know, he is asking if it's ideal for us as Surveyors and valuers to prepare it, and is this agreement prepared by us? Is it binding in the court of law?
There's really nothing wrong with estate surveyors and valuers preparing a tenancy agreement. But like I mentioned before, because although we are trained, I mean, we did land law, we did administrative law, so we have some of those, we can actually prepare a contract. But I would always advise that you use professionals when it comes to such things, because they will also be able to advise you appropriately. Then going to Bankole's question, I really do not understand what it means by 6 months down the line. Are you saying that after letting the property, you did not manage and there was an issue? Because it's not so clear. Is it that there was an issue 6 months down the line and the man is now asking you to do certain things?
I want to think that's what it means. I think so. Probably that's what he's trying to.
Okay, you know, if you remember when I was doing my presentation, I did mention that the fact that you're not going to manage a property does not mean you should not do your due diligence.
Due diligence,
because yes, you must be very careful. You know, some of us have this attitude that after I'm not going to manage, I can just give my clients any kind of tenant without doing the due diligence. And I had mentioned also that what makes you feel that in another 1 year, or even after that, the clients will not come back to you and say, manage this property for me. So if you are putting a bad tenant, you live with that bad tenant. So do not always feel that because you are not going to manage a property, you will not do your due diligence. That is part of what you're supposed to do as an estate surveyor and valuer when you are marketing or letting a property. So let's still do the due diligence, irrespective of the fact that you're going to manage the property or not. That's my advice.
Thank you very much, ma. I'm going to go quickly because of our time. I'm going to go to ESV Oluyemo. Is ESV Oluyemo there, please? There's this question, and it's just one question. It's talking about, is the position of estate surveyors and valuers, is it shrinking or expanding in the real estate industry? When you started, you talked about a lot of opportunities available to us, and we talked about these days we talk about quacks and all of that. You even took us down the line to tell us the number of registered valuers that we do have. In your own opinion, and considering all that we have with respect to, people coming into the industry and all that, will you consider that the position or the aspect of an estate surveyors and valuers, our position shrinking or expanding? What's your view on this, sir? Yes, Oluyemo.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. To me, it's not shrinking. It may appear so, but it is not. I gave a statistics of having 5,622 registered surveyors to a population. I saw somebody who wrote that we should take it from 18 years and above. Even if we take it from 18 years and above, the percentage of that relative to the total population is over 60%. And we are having 5,622. If you take it per person, nobody, I'm telling you as at now, with even the number of registers of viewers in Lagos, not all the properties are taken up that we are managing. Not everybody, we are not servicing half of the population. So if you have that, the population is there, which every right-thinking people can leverage on, then if you are the one that think outside the box, I said it that if you can measure it, you can manage it. Think outside the box, you will have a lot of jobs to do. There is intellectual property valuation, which is a ground that not so many of us are into. I said about evil documentation. that in some areas, let me give you a specific example. If you go to Surulere, in some areas of Surulere where they have LGB title, those interests are running off completely. So you can take the challenge up, go to the ministry, convince them, because they will make money out of it. They will charge the current rate, not the old rate. And they see the volume of money that they will make. You will be the first person that will tap into it and make a lot of money. So I don't believe in tricking. The sky is so wide open for every bird to fly without having any contact with one another. What we need to do is that let us think outside the box. The traditional thinking that we can do this just management can be wide. Like I told you, hardly do you see some of our members that are managing hotels, and it's a fertile ground. So it's not, you don't put yourself, you don't cage yourself, you don't put yourself in a box. I just believe that only I will do the traditional duties that you are doing. Think outside the box. Where you measure it, you can manage it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Before I go back to the chairman of the very branch, there'll be one question which I will ask that both ESV Oluyemo and ESV Vivi and Ewendeze also answer. But before both of you answer that question, I will just need your thought on that question. But before the two of you, I will ask you. Let me quickly ask Mr. Kamarudin this. There's this myth that Mr. Kamarudin, there's this belief that people usually don't pass the interview once. I mean, that there's this fear that when you go for interview, I mean, people don't pass, you fail, and how do you debunk this? I mean, that's one. Number two, that you also need to quickly look at is, what are the major things that we need to look at, the basic elements that we need to look at in the critical analysis? Somebody who is aspiring to be an SSW, or what's it going to do? What's it going to write? I mean, what are the basic components of those critical analysis? That's the question for you, Mr. Kamarudin. I just asked two questions. People are talking about failing the exam. Can you debunk it? Then what are the components that we look at for writing those, in writing the critical analysis? Because I know quite a lot of people get scared and get afraid that maybe it's something that they will feel they are not going to excel there. If you want to say something that way.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Passing the interview, the one thing that we must know is that this is a professional body. This is a professional body, and it has to do with knowledge. Because by the time you become an associate of the institution, you register with the board, you go out there and render services to clients. One, you represent yourself and you represent the professional body that you belong to. We must know that there is minimum standard of knowledge that is required that anybody who is going to practice estate surveying and valuation must have. And if this is lacking in a candidate, there's no way to help it. And as much as possible, this has been set. There are laid down rules and people know. And it is for us to prepare. It is for whoever is going for an interview to prepare for the interview. And the record we have had so far, I don't think there is the passing interview is so difficult, because I was part of the AGM on Saturday, and the statistic given, I may not be able to quote the statistics now, but it is in favor of the fact that people who go for interview, majority, a very good number of people who go for interview, they pass interview. Even though some pass with conditions. And what is the condition there? The condition is that when there's anything to amend in your critical analysis, or when there's a particular level of knowledge that is required of you to be able to practice, you'll be told that, okay, we are going to allow you to go, but subject for you doing so, and so. So the failure rate was very, very low as compared to the pass rate in the information given at the AGM. So people pass the interview. It's nothing to worry about. It's not something to be afraid of. If we do our own part very well. Approaching the people we go to meet at the interview, the panelists are all human beings, and they don't hate us. They like us. They want us to pass. They want us to join the profession. So the starting point is that candidates must do their own parts very well. Once they do their own part very well, they will pass. And the statistics so far show that people go for interview, they pass. In fact, in Lagos State branch, we have been having 100%. You know, people go for interview, all of them pass interview. And I'm very sure same thing in Abuja branch and some many other branches. So it is not true that people go for interview, they pass, people fail. No, it is not true. Then on critical analysis, I said earlier that critical analysis is a technical report of the project carried out by a candidate or that a candidate partook in. It's a technical report, and in the past, it used to be a minimum of 5,000 words. Today, it has been reduced to a maximum of 3,000 words. And we have, the way these chapters are structured now, you find that it is more practical based than what it used to be. In the past, when you write critical analysis, your chapter 2 is literature review. So you are not supposed to be reviewing literature because it's not an academic thesis. So it is a practical, so it's for you to show. Like in chapter 1, we have project description. Under project description, you are going to do the physical, a candidate will do the physical description. Is going to pull where there are diagrams to show, you show the diagrams, where there are pictures, show the pictures. So what the designers of this new critical, and what they want to draw out is that project that topic that you are working on, which is born out of your experience in your period of pupillage, you want to ensure that you understand it very well. It's not just a question of carrying a critical analysis that has been written sometimes ago, then somebody just speak one or two things out, and no, you want to ensure that you understand it very well. And it doesn't have to be a very broad project. It doesn't have to be for you to be able for a candidate to write on it. It doesn't have to be a very broad project. It could be a real estate solution, whether in property management or in valuation or in any part of estate surveying and valuation that you offered during the period of your pupillage. How you went about it, you described the scenario, how you were able to solve the problem. How you were able to solve the problem is going to contribute to the body of knowledge in the profession. A lot of people will learn. So, but if that is not brought out, then it's going to affect it will not make any sense or it will not be meaningful. Then we have chapter 2, key issues or challenges encountered. There are challenges, you describe the issues and what are the challenges. And in chapter 3, how were you able to solve those challenges, solution, and what are the approaches? And in this chapter, when we say approaches now, the approaches that a candidate would prefer must be those approaches that are in tandem with real estate principles. It must not be the one that we can categorize under quackery. It must be the one that is in tandem with our practice as estate surveyors and valuers. Then we have recommendation, chapter 4. It gives recommendation based on, because you have partook in it, you know what you went through, then you should be able to give recommendation for people to understand that to know that you understand what you have. And then the final is analysis of experience and conclusion. So if you look at the way the new format is designed, it's more practical based than what it used to be. So we can continue to expatiate on this. And a lecture has gone on in this before on critical analysis. And as much as possible, we can always make the slide available for those who need it.
Thank you very much. Yes, Kamaruddin. Thank you very much. The question I said before, there's a question on the screen which I want the chairman of the very branch, I want him to delve into that when he's doing his closing remarks. I mean, because a lot of the person was asking about the huge capital involved and all of that. And I recall that ESV Kamorudin indeed talked about what this administration had done in ensuring that pledges are no longer, are not being paid. I mean, so that efforts have been made by this administration. So, I mean, towards the ending, I would like the chairman to delve into that. And also, talking about the issue of people passing this exam, I recall that the Education Committee, one of the things that the Education Committee have been able to do in recent times is to ensure that there's this interaction with all these people, have one-on-one interaction with them that prepares them for this, this interview, so that we put you in the mode of the interview. You begin to see what to expect. You have local people in that committee who will be able to guide you and help you along the line. Having said that, the question I want Mrs. Eweneze quickly and Ms. ESV Oluyemo to, in 1 minute each, to delve into is, what do they consider the role of technology? What is the role of technology in real estate? I mean, technology, its application in our practice, talking about property management that Mrs. Eweneze talked about, and also what ESV Oluyemo also talked about. What role does technology has to play in the whole of this thing? Can you quickly let into this in 1 minute each because of our time? Let's go with Mrs. Eweneze first.
Thank you very much, Sanjo. Technology is very key to our practice, even in the current dispensation now, where it becomes very difficult for you to go out as a property manager in terms of even inspections and all that. And even in terms of letters, everything now is via mail. So you can't avoid that. And we have also moved further such that even in the tenancy agreement that is being prepared, we've discussed with our lawyers to say, you know what, when tenants are coming into the property, you have their WhatsApp number. The KYC form shows their WhatsApp number. You fill that WhatsApp number. Is also embedded in the tenancy agreement to say that we can send you your quit notices or any notices via WhatsApp. You know, that is the extent of technology, and that is included in the tenancy agreement. So ab initio, as an incoming tenant, you know that you can get your notices via WhatsApp. So you can't come back to say, oh, nobody told me, because you are expected to sign that agreement even before you move in. So technology has gone very far, and you cannot run away from it in our profession, especially even in property management. Thank you.
All right, let's hear ESV Oluyemo quickly on this.
Thank you very much, the moderator. Well, technology, there is no surveyor that works itself. Now, that will continue to use the method of using a paper works in running his office now. Because at the point of a buffing, you can get a lot of things done. Last 2 weeks, I was reading somebody that wrote on Twitter what he could do concerning that can help us in our property management. That it will remind us, it can even, the package can even send a reminder on our behalf without knowing, because those things will have been keyed into it. So if you have such, what you are demonstrating to your client is that the competence is there, not that the former way of doing it, that maybe you have to travel over some distances. Just at a touch of buffing, you can be communicating with somebody in USA, UK, even within this country, but far away from your base. So it cannot be discounted. It cannot be overemphasized. We need it. We need to learn it. We need to train about it so that we don't belong to the past. Because the estate surveyor and valuer that is going to succeed today must be technological savvy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a great, great pleasure to moderate this session. And honestly, the volume and the extent of knowledge that has been, given this afternoon cannot be measured. And so I want to thank all the panelists. I want to thank ESV Kamaruddin Lawal. I want to thank you so very much. I also want to thank ESV for your input. Thank you for your effort. And also want to thank our amiable sister, ESV Winese. Thank you so much. So at this point, so I would like to, and like I said, it's a great privilege. And tomorrow is certainly going to be another wonderful day. And I believe for those who have been part of today's session can really be sure of what to expect tomorrow. And so it's going to be a great pleasure to also have you join us tomorrow. So I would like to quickly hand over to the chairman of the Berry branch, and also want to thank him for this great opportunity and privilege to do this. And so as he does his closing remark, I want him to talk briefly on that question I did talk about, where somebody was talking about the cost of getting associate and all of that, the complaint because there are new people coming into the stream. I mean, they don't have the money and all. And I did say that what this administration have been able to do is to remove a whole chunk of burden with regards to pledge, which in itself, it's a great feat, if you want to ask me. So I would like the chairman to say something about this whilst he gives us his closing remark. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sanjo. And I want to appreciate all the speakers, the wonderful speakers we've had today. It's been very nice to see that a lot of things also are well grounded in our practice model, which everybody should learn from property management models, from processes and what people could benefit as estate surveyors and valuers, as discussed by ESV Wanese and ESV Uluyemo, and also the process being discussed by the process of becoming an associate being discussed by ESV Kamaruddin Lawal. Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. We appreciate you. And Sanjo, fantastic. Thank you. I want to quickly ask, is the chairman of the education committee on this webinar? Is he around? ESV Kamaruddin Lawal, is he around? Is he on the webinar? He's not available?
I think it's supposed to be him because we actually spoke.
Okay, I checked through the participants. I didn't see his name, so I thought maybe he came in as a panelist, but I've not seen his name too. Okay.
Okay.
Let's
However,
go ahead.
he sent a message to me on WhatsApp while I was making my presentation. I've not read it. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what
No problem.
Yeah.
Maybe he's occupied somewhere otherwise.
Somewhere.
Well, let me quickly go to the issue, because I wanted him to also speak on that. But let me quickly go to the issue that was raised about the cost. You see, in life, someone said, a wise man said that if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. There is nothing cheap. Nothing goes for nothing in the world. What we can only do is try to lessen a few burdens here and there for ourselves, for one another, to ensure people can be brought up on the ladder to climb higher. The basic thing is that we have done what we can do as a branch to remove the sum of about 50,000 naira in what may be considered as a burden on people coming to register through our branch. But however, it doesn't mean that you won't pay your annual dues. It doesn't mean that you will not print those documents you need to print. That's the ones for your critical analysis. You have to take care of all those things. At the national level, if it is not in your state where you reside, you then have to travel. That's another burden. That's one burden we have been preaching to principals in various firms to try and limit, not take away totally. But if you can take it away totally, fantastic. But if you can limit it for people working with you, I think even if they get the stamp and seal at the end of the day and they leave, posterity will judge you, and people, and God is a rewarder of those who do good. You understand? So, but you also have to understand that this symbiotic, you want people to not, a lot of people also don't want to make it look like they have spent their effort. I recollect there's a particular firm that paid for about 5 probationers and graduates to become associate, paid even their pledges at national level. And at the end of the day, the 5, within the space of 2 years that the 5 went, as soon as they went and got their, you know, their stamp and seal, they left. So that's also a relationship issue that may not give a lot of people the opportunity or the desire to say, let me also make a contribution to support the progress of this person. But once, you don't have to sign a pact, but once you can show willingness and the person is, which you are preaching, let it go. Just contribute to people's life. A lot of people are doing it, and we have people staying in those practices. Sonjo, for example, is staying in a particular practice. There are no about people staying in a particular practice like that. And those are encouraging scenarios that one can paint. But at the end of the day, you have to go to the national level. At the national level is a council of all branches and the National Management Committee. So the decision taking there, I mean, that's membership level. The decision taking there, which over time, a number of us have come to say, look, can we find another way of reducing or managing this process so that it's not going to be too much of a cost on the upcoming ones. The issue is that there are also financial costs, which the people who have a contrary opinion have always brought up. The financial cost of sitting those people in management committee there, of making them travel there, apart from the time immemorial tradition of having to come and pay pledge. We have stopped pledge payment in Lagos. The membership committee, to the best of my knowledge, is also working out a way to ensure that the issue of pledge payment does not interfere in the process of interview. And perhaps it's going to be something that is guided, and is going to be a particular amount, not really all whatnot, all kind of amounts. But that is left for the Night Council to talk about. I believe we can still continue to make the case for the next council, led by SS and Mawike, fellow of the institution, as the president, and even with the management committee. SS and Jumbo Amaeba, who is the first vice now, is going to be the chairman of that management. Is, well, naturally, the chairman of the management committee, traditionally, the first vice. So I think these people are going to be able to listen to us, and we can continue to make this appeal for those changes. But what we can do in Lagos is what we have done. Because for us, we looked at reducing the financial burden on the people because they are paying dues. And even when you get to that level, what we have also done is tried to even support you in your first 5 years on some key programs that will build you up as a professional to make you competitive in the real estate market. So it all depends on the administration, but I hope people will know that you have to also pay something to get something. It's not going to be free lunch. There's no free lunch in Freetown. Thank you. So on this note, I want to again appreciate all the participants and speakers and ask the moderator to close the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I think in the light of the above, I mean, what has been said about the chairman, we want to also thank everyone, and we look forward to tomorrow. It's another great day. I mean, from 2, I mean, today was a bit quite, started a bit late, but tomorrow, please get other people on board. By 2 p.m. tomorrow, we have lined up other people who are going to be doing justice to issues that will matter to us in our profession. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Once again, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, and we hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.